Hello, Doom Scribblers. It is Kate and Stella. It's Stella's birthday, so Stella pretty much gets anything that she wants, which is different from every other day of the week. How? Right, so this really is for the Doom Scribblers. So anybody else who subscribes to this channel, I apologize because this is very, very specific to what I'm seeing on the pages and what we need to do as a stopgap measure to get everybody on the same page. So I am going to enact some rules, which I don't do very often because I believe in self-determination, and I believe in people finding their own way, and I believe in particularly writers finding their own voice. So I tend not to be on the side of rules. However, we are writing a multi-writer project, and that means that we need some of our voice and tone to be closer together. And we have agreed to write in close third together. And this is new for almost everybody in the room. And I am still seeing some people struggle with close third. So let's talk about what close third is. Close third is a voice in which we are still writing in third, but it's so close to the main protagonist's experience that everything that happens on the page is from their perspective. They are functionally the narrator, but they're not a narrator who looks out into the audience. They never break that fourth wall. They are in the experience in close third. There are other voices that you can write in which you would break the fourth wall. And there are versions of close third where you might decide as the narrator to turn and make some comment. But we are writing action pieces, post-apoc, with an action bent. And so we are never going to break the illusion that our readers are inside that experience with the main protagonist. That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for the reader to be inside the experience by a trick of the brain with the main character, which means that certain artifacts of storytelling are removed. In this discipline, we're taking out certain forms of language that flag the fact that we are telling a story. Because in close third, we are not telling a story, we're showing a life. Now, even though we're writing it in the past tense, we are still showing that life through the experience of the main protagonist. In order to do that, there are certain rules that we have to collectively follow. So we've been pushing really hard on getting filtering language out of our manuscripts. And why are we getting filtering out? So filtering is he thought, she noticed, she observed, she gazed. What that does, when you've got a filter, then you've changed the narrative position. So in close third, we have got this character who is experiencing everything, and everything that happens is from their perspective. If you say, he saw the dog, who is the narrator now? If you say, the dog ran across the lawn, we're still in his perspective. He is still the narrator. If you say, he noticed the dog, now there's a second narrator on the page. We can't have a second narrator on the page. That's why filtering language has to come out. It is the law. Filtering language is dead to us. From now on, when you do your buddy reads, I do not want you to have to explain why filtering language has to come out. You have two options if you're reading someone else's page. You can just go filter, 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 or you can say, Kate says this is the law, and it is the law. And if you get your pages back and you don't take care of that, I will yeet you into the sun. It's getting pretty serious, and I'm going to tell you why it's getting serious. So we're spending hours editing, right? And this is really, really good because hopefully people are learning a lot from these edits. They're looking, they're inferring, they're deducing, they're getting closer and closer to the tone that you are setting as a group, and you're getting deeper and deeper into close third and deep POV. We need you to be closer. We can't have outlier tone in a book, even though we're writing from multiple POVs. So we've got anything from 2 to 4 POVs per book, depending on the group. And what they notice and what they experience and what their misbelief is are going to be different for each character. That's one of the reasons that we worked so hard on their misbelief, is to make them really distinct and idiosyncratic and real people who are struggling for a real thing, and to make them quite different from the other voices in the book. But we can't have whiplash. We can't have it be obvious to our readers that we have got 3 or 4 writers in the room. They just won't go for it. So the kind of smoothing that I talked about in the beginning is us coming together around a shared goal. So I'm going to be pushing you even harder to get these things right. Filtering is one of them. What else are we looking at? Adverbs. Why? Why are adverbs baddies? I'm going to put a link in that is from Pro Writing Aid that is quite technical about why adverbs are considered bad at the moment. And they're considered bad because they are telling. And we don't want telling. Why don't we want telling? Because we are inside the experience, showing that experience from this narrator's point of view. We're not telling from another narrator's point of view, and we're not breaking that fourth wall. We're not speaking to the reader. We are experiencing as the character. So, adverbs are forbidden. This is the law. Can you see a pattern at all emerging here? So what else? We've got filtering, we've got adverbs, crutch words. I'm going to put a list of crutch words in. Crutch words, most of the crutch words that I flagged for you are highlighting the fact that we are telling a story. And we don't want to be telling a story. We want to be showing that experience through the POV of the main character. We're at 8 minutes, that's really good. So this is all about showing versus telling. And I want you to be showing us that experience by being immersed really deeply in the experience of our main POV character. So to get people on track, many people are making this shift. And some people are doing it perfectly. Some people have adapted to this new way of writing. And some people I can see are really trying. And other people don't seem to be responding to the feedback that they're getting from their team members, and they're not making changes to their manuscript. If it's the case that you're struggling with Word, you're struggling because there are all these colors and there are all these comments, you can switch those colors off in Word. You go up and you toggle when you're in review. I can't do a share on this screen, I'm very sorry. So you go, you hit review so you can see all of the review buttons, and there is a drop down menu that you can drop down to no markup. You can also select which commentator you see. So you can have all of the lines taken out, but you can still have the comments there so you can see what they are talking about, and you can turn them all off and just see my comments. We are going to push really hard in the coming weeks to get these things out. So we are getting filtering words out, we are getting adverbs out, and we are getting crutch words out. In addition, we are going to be replacing dialogue tags with action that moves the plot or the story forward. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to bounce it back to you and I'm going to tell you to rewrite it. You need to merge action and dialogue so we are seeing the life of the character. We're not setting things up and then talking and then setting things up and then talking. These things go together seamlessly as a whole. If your characters aren't doing anything, you're not writing a novel, you're writing a screenplay. I do not want you to write screenplays, I want you to write novels. So we're going to be pushing pretty hard on these things. So we've got 4 things now that for the next several weeks, until I see that you are absolutely nailing this and you can play with it, you are going to be removing all filtering language, all adverbs, it's going to be hard, all crutch words, and you are going to be taking out he said, she said, and you're not going to be replacing it with nodding, blinking, smiling, turning your head, sighing. No. Action that moves the plot or the story forward is what we're aiming for. Once we are sure that you really get it, we'll be able to ease up on these rules because, mostly I think it's quite twatty to have rules like this. But we need to get everybody there. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about her son, who is dyspraxic. And he's very, very brilliant. And he has a ton of ideas. And when you're talking to him, those ideas are really cogent and coherent and compelling. And when he writes them down, because he can't organize himself on the page because of dyspraxia, you can't understand the logic at all. There is no logic. Things are jumbled and they're all over the place. And I said to her, what a lot of people don't realize is that, for example, Picasso mimicked Rembrandt. He drew paintings like Rembrandt until he understood form. And once he understood the human form, then he broke it and played with it. So there was an eye here and an eye here and 3 boobs in between. You can't be Picasso until you have been Rembrandt. So take that analogy to writing. You cannot write an experimental piece. You cannot play with these pieces of storytelling until you know how to do the most basic thing. And I am asking you to do a very basic thing, which is to tell a story. Very difficult, very, very difficult. Discipline is always more difficult than not discipline. Tell a story from the point of view, from the POV character, the end. What you do in your own work is entirely up to you. If you want to play jolly, jolly hockey sticks with adverbs in the roiling sun while you gaze out at the sand, absolutely you can. For post-apocalyptic science fiction with an action bent, when you're writing in the room with 4 or 5 other people and you are writing for me, you cannot. All right, I'm going to do a little giveaway because this was all quite strict and first person who claims it gets it. I will send it to you. All right, my dears, we're coming up on 15 minutes, so I'm going to sign off. But this now is the law. Goodbye, Doomscribblers.